Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to do this video for such a long time. I want to compare the two most used, the two most practiced ways of doing nails for people with allergies, which is the dip system, just an acrylic dip, and the silk or fiberglass kind of nails. A lot of people use silk or fiberglass for patches and when they have a broken nail or something, but you can actually use it just to build an entire nail. The nails I'm wearing right now are actually acrylic dip. I've been so, used to working with gel that when I did this, it was a total mess, but they are awesome. They are so light and they are so strong. They're just like actual acrylic nails. So yeah, I just wanted to practice some more today, and I wanted to compare the fiberglass nails with the acrylic dip, just to see, is one more clear, is one easier, faster, whatnot. But first I want to show you the difference between silk and fiberglass. They are both basically the same. Some people say fiberglass is like thinner and the silk is thicker. Just by looking at these, there's not a whole lot of difference. Let me just get this out of the bag. I've always used fiberglass, I've never used silk, that's why this is still sealed. But I think you get this with the ASP kit. I'm not really sure. But this is silk. Do I have two of these? I have two of these. Come on. Thank you. Okay. So let's just have a look what silk looks like. This is silk. And these are pre-cut, so you can just find the one that matches your nail and use that. This is just a strip. These are very common, very affordable. You can find it on AliExpress. Of course, there are different brands like ASP and whatnot. But this is fiberglass, and if I can show you, fiberglass is very like, how do you say this? Bendable, manageable. It is, by the looks of it, a little thinner, but maybe that's also good for getting, the nails to look clear at all. But anyway, there are tons of things you can use as a, base, glue, resin, whatnot. Some kits come with a brush-on glue, nail resin. But you can also just use any nail glue you got. You can use a base of any dip system, which is also glue based, like this one. And one of the main differences between acrylic dip and fiberglass is that you need, with the dip system, you get a activator in a bottle. Just you have to brush on the activator, and with fiberglass you really have to spray it on, because we'll get to that in a second. But I've prepped these two nails. They are supposed to be very clear. I just buffed them, which is basically one of the only preps you really need to do. You can use a dehydrator, but I'm not going to use that on these fake nails. I'm just going to dive right in. So we're also going to try to build sort of like an apex. Let's just start off with the dip system. I'm not going to use the Chiara Sky base. I'm really just going to use any resin that I have. Any cheap nail glue you can come across. So this is the Chiara Sky acrylic dip powder. It's very fine. Even though I'm allergic to acrylic, I can just touch this and play with this all I want. And let me just get some glue out. What most people do is they start like over here Now, of course, this nail has kind of like a C-curve, but they start over here to build this part first, sort of like the apex, and then we'll just get onto it. Okay, so this is any nail glue you can get at a local drugstore. Okay. Okay, so this is step 1 of the acrylic dip. And I am going to get on with step 1 of this one right here, which is a lot of people, you know, there are some different kind of videos on fiberglass and how people apply it. I like to start with just a base of any resin. So we're not getting into the fiberglass right now. Just a base of the resin, and I'm gonna spray this. This will instantly hard the resin slash glue. Instantly. You can see it actually moved it. Okay. This has a funny smell, by the way. I don't know why. It smells really funny. So there is some activator. Okay. It's not really hardening right away. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's old. Is it old? Never mind. Just move on to the next step. So I'm gonna grab a soft brush like this one. Getting rid of all the excess powder. And going in with our second coat. Getting a bit more high up to where the cuticle is supposed to be. I do have to say that most base resins of dip kits is a little thicker than just this nail glue, but it will work just fine. So that is the second coat layer. Let's just see if this, okay, it's hard right now. And I'm gonna cut the fiberglass to fit this nail. And this nail, of course, is pretty big, but we'll make it work. I'm just cutting off a piece. Now, this nail is very square, which makes this part really easy. But of course, when you're putting this near a cuticle, you want to round up this part right here. But I don't have to do that for this practice nail. Okay, so now I'm going to get some tweezers. What I'm doing wrong right now is I'm touching the fiberglass. You really want to avoid doing that. So the oils and stuff from your fingers is not getting onto the fiberglass. As you can see, it's shifted a bit. It's very movable. Just turn it around. And like I said, I want to avoid touching this with my finger. This looks really, really messy. It has a sticky layer, so it's supposed to stick right to the nail. I'm just getting a lint-free wipe and just really pushing that down. As you can see, it's quite crooked, but it's okay. We're going to continue building this nail. You can put as much fiberglass on it right now as you'd like, which is a great thing. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put another layer. And I'm going to cut a smaller piece for the apex. So I'm getting my tweezers in. Oh. Let's see if I can fix this mess right here. And it's very, this is probably because it's like winter time right now here. So that's why it's a little static. Touching it with my fingers, shouldn't do that. Where's my lint-free wipe? Okay, and I cut a thinner piece so you can kind of build like the apex around here if you want. Oh, come on. Thank you. Just where you want your apex to be. Of course, depending on the length of your nail. You don't really have to do this if you're just doing it on very, very short natural nails. But you can. Now we're gonna put on a lot of resin on top of this. And you'll notice as soon as I put the resin on, it kind of turns pretty clear. Now I'm gonna spray it with the activator. That. I'm going to put it aside to harden up. Going back to the acrylic dip, which looks really, really messy right now. Okay. I don't know why it's all building at the tip. It's probably where most of the resin is. Let's just try and fix that this time. So now you can, with this third layer, you can go all the way up to the cuticle. I'm avoiding going to the tip part right now. This is getting quite messy. Of course, you can fix a lot of it once you start buffing and stuff. Okay, so I noticed this happened. This happened actually quite a lot on my natural nails. Some parts of the fiberglass actually turn white, which is totally okay if you're, you know, just gonna put a nail polish on top of it. I guess this is a part where there was just too much resin all the way down, and this is what happens. But you know, it's not a big thing. It's not a big deal. I'm going to get a buffing block and just trying to fix that a little because it's really bumpy right now, and I just want, of course, this part to be pretty smooth. So as you can see, it's gone. Now we're going to back in with the glue. And As you can see, once you go over that, the white is gone. So this shouldn't affect your outcome too much. I'll spray it again. A little bit more distance this time. And I'm just gonna put that aside. Now you wanna add about, you know, as many coats of the resin as you'd like. You can really use it to build it up. Fiberglass nails are, when you do a full set of fiberglass nails, they are known for being very thin and very strong. So you don't have to build it up too much. Which is not the same with the acrylic dip. You really have to build a nice structure for the strength to, you know. Okay, so I'm going to brush this off. Going in with a final coat. I still haven't used the activator, as you might have noticed. Once you add the base, resin, glue, whatever, and you dip it into the acrylic, it immediately starts to set. This is already pretty hard. It's not solid hard, but it has something adhere to it, which will make the glue harden. With the fiberglass, when you're just putting glue on top of it and nothing else, it doesn't really have something to adhere to, so it might stay, you know, fluid for a long time. So that's why you have to actually spray the activator instead of brushing it on. So if you put the just a basic glue on and you would touch it with your activator brush, it will instantly harden, and that's what ruins brushes. So that's why with the fiberglass you have a spray-on activator. So, and with this it's a lot more solid already, so that's why you can easily just brush on the activator and it will help it set. But it's not time for that yet. We're first going to add one more layer. Some people, when they apply the fiberglass, they also like to dip it into the acrylic just to create the thickness a little faster, because as you can see, there is quite a difference between the fiberglass and the acrylic dip when it comes to building up the nail. So some people like to do that, apply the fiberglass, apply the resin, and then just dip it into the acrylic dipping powder, which will build it up a little faster. But of course I'm not going to do that today. We are not going to do that. We are going to apply a second, is it a third or fourth, I don't know, another layer of the glue. Spraying in again. I do notice, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is turning a little yellow, some parts anyway, which of course is not what you want your natural nails to look like. If you are going for a natural look of the fiberglass. And this is just one big mess. It's all pouring down the sides, which when you are doing it on your natural nails, of course you will remove any excess glue that, you know, flushes your cuticle and stuff. So this will not happen if you're doing it on a natural nail, but on a tip, yes, it will happen. So now I'm just going to brush up the excess and get a activator just gonna use the Sky. Now, even though I'm using like any type of glue, of course it's always better to use brands that collide, if you know what I mean. If you're using Sky dip powder, of course it's best to use their system as well. But this is just to show you that you don't really have to do that. It will work anyway. You really have to cover this entire nail to get the powder to set. I really don't like this activator. I don't know, there's just hardly getting anything off it. I have to dip it like over and over and over again into the bottle. So I'm kind of curious to see, once I file these, which one will look better. I'm guessing the acrylic dip. The fiberglass will look pretty slim, I guess. Oh, come on. Okay. So now I'm just gonna let these dry for a couple of minutes, then I'll start filing, and then I'll get back to you guys. Okay guys, I filed these, buffed these, and added another layer of the resin on top. Once you apply the activator or the sprayed on the activator, you can easily just put another layer of the resin on top, which will dry pretty fast and will leave a pretty smooth finish. So yeah, they are both not entirely clear. I'm pretty sure you can make the acrylic dip more clear than the actual fiberglass. But both systems are usually like used to as a base anyway, and put on some pretty colors on top. So another advantage of applying your nails like this is they are always soak off. Resin you can easily just soak off with some acetone, so you don't have to file these off or anything. I think I mentioned about everything. This was a really long video, and I'm really amazed if you made it to the end. But I just wanted to really get in depth on this with a little demonstration. The fiberglass looks really slim and smooth, and the acrylic dip looks a bit more bulky, but it does look a little more clear than the fiberglass. This one has some yellowing, which I think is because of the activator spray. But yeah, this is a comparison between the two. So they're both amazing ways to do your nails. They're you know, when you're allergic to acrylic and gel, you can always just use these methods to do your nails. And one last thing I wanted to say is that you can use any of these methods with a form. Let me just quickly show you a form. Forms like these. It won't work. This won't work with dual forms, but it will always work over tips. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you found this video a little helpful, and I'm going to be changing my nails, so yeah, okay, wish me luck on that. I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!